Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there's no such thing as coincidences or mistakes, and we're here to share our life experience on that with you. My name is Deb Miller.
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan Doyle. Nice to see you girls. It's been a little bit of a minute. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, since it's just the three of us, right?
Mhm.
Had some guests.
Yeah, actually, yes. And
So yeah.
just to let everybody know, I can no longer complain about the weather around here. Today is 92,
Amen.
hot, humid, sunny. I am in my glory. So
Good.
now I have to report the good as much as I report
Yes,
the bad. It is
indeed. Focus
glorious
on the
out
good.
there.
Good.
Like you walk outside and it's that kind of heat that you feel like your skin is peeling, and I
Ugh.
freaking love it. Every minute of it. I know.
I'm going to report. So I'm Kristen Longmore, and I'm going to report that I just came from my company picnic, which was lovely. I love my team. My new team is very fun, and they're fun to hang out with. They're a little bit more randy than my former team, but it was
Randy.
effing
Doesn't
hot.
that mean horny? Doesn't randy
Sorry,
mean?
I don't know. Just they're rowdy or they're attorneys, so and legal support.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a
They're
little.
rowdy? Thank God you don't deal with a whole bunch of accountants. Not that anything being an accountant is wrong,
I had a
but
couple
Boy,
accountants at our table. We had the accounting tax people also as well because whatever. But anyway, it's I do not like it. It's hot, but it is summer. So
it
anyway,
is
yes, it
summer.
is.
we will
I
live.
have stopped, and it looks like you two too, Kristen. I have stopped fighting the curly hair battle with the hot and the humid.
Oh, I
I'm
stopped that
embracing my
months
curls
ago.
all summer.
Yeah, you must.
Good.
You must,
Yeah, because
because there's
your
not
hair
enough
looks
product on the
amazing.
planet to keep curly hair straight in the
Negative.
summer.
Yeah. Yeah,
No, your
no.
hair looks so good wavy like that. You need to grow it long and have beach hair
I'm
all day
growing it
long.
longer.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks awesome. I was
Yeah.
saying before
Okay.
we turned
Talking about
on
being
the
a little randy and rowdy, she's giving me a
Randy.
what for.
That's more sassy than
All
Randy
right.
means like
You
you're,
are full of
yeah,
sass.
Maybe that's what the word I should have used. Sassy.
sassy.
My new team
Yeah.
is sassy. So
See,
I
that's
was
a
saying before
sass.
we started as well that Sue looks tanner than Deb now, even though she's Massachusetts and Deb's Florida because she's embracing
So,
the
but
sun.
right, but we concluded this, right? In New England,
Yeah.
you're in Connecticut and Massachusetts. You never know when the sun's going to come out again. So, like, I
Yeah.
run out there and absorb and be in it as much as I possibly can for fear that the next 7 days are going to be cloudy, cold, and raining. I do often wonder that if I lived in Florida, if I would not be so obsessed with being outside. I do love being in the sun, but I would suspect, like everybody else says, you just sort of learn to, I guess, not really take it for granted, but you just know that the next day is going to be the same, like it's the same blueprint. So
Yeah. So you're
you
not,
know what I
you don't,
mean?
yeah. There's not that like anxiety
Right,
to, oh my God, I got to get out
right.
in the sun.
But to me,
It's,
it's this rush of like, if I miss this,
yeah.
it could not come out again for another week, and I will be, like crazy woman.
Yeah.
So
I
true.
get that.
Yeah, makes
I get
sense.
that. Speaking of crazy,
Yeah.
crazy
So
women.
speaking
Speaking of
of
crazy women, we
crazy
got three right
friends,
here.
conflict. So I had this little thing came up on my Facebook. I can't remember if a friend of mine shared it or whatever. But I wanted to talk to you gals. I know we've all had um, some form of conflict in a relationship at some point, but kind of your manner of conflict resolution. And this thing that came up, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's just the basic premise is abuse can be loud and abuse can also be quiet. And it talked a little bit about, um, you know, what do you call it, Deb? Like pushing you out or whatever. There's kind of a word for it, or ghosting or whatever. And it got me thinking about my conflict resolution, the way I communicate or don't communicate in a relationship. And I remember a friend of mine saying to me, my my ex-boyfriend was a big ghoster. It's one of the reasons why we didn't work out. It was, and I remember her saying to me once, Kristen, the way he's pushing you out and ignoring you is abusive. And I was like, it is? Like, I knew that my ex-husband's name calling and, he never threw a punch at me, but like throwing shit and being violent with inanimate objects was some form of emotional abuse. I never knew that ignoring someone was emotional abuse. And I thought of this recently because I have a tendency to, if things get itchy or uncomfortable, my first go-to is to run away and to just do the Irish goodbye, and I kind of had this exchange with a person that was funny, but a little bit sarcastic. And I got a little bit uncomfortable with it. Like, this probably isn't the healthiest way to be honest about how I'm feeling. Turns out it wasn't that big of a deal in the end. But I thought, my ex-husband was big on immediately talking out a conflict. I, as a person, needed time to decompress because I have a temper and I can say things that are nasty at the gate. I need to calm down. Now, I would never ghost him, or I would say to him, we need to come back to this. I'm just a little too upset right now. Mm-hmm. And he learned to kind of deal with that, but it used to make me mental. He'd want to sit down and resolve the conflict immediately. And I'm like, I can't fucking take this. I got to get away from you. I can't. And then, I had another relationship where the opposite happened. And that to me was really uncomfortable and brought out a lot of my character defects. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see, what you guys think, what your thoughts are on, is ghosting someone abusive? I'm sure our audience, maybe people in our audience don't know that, I didn't know it. I didn't know that someone ignoring me, especially a love relationship, someone just boxing you out, man, right. You don't fucking matter. And that's how it truly feels. She was right when she said that, that's abusive. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. This person is supposed to love me. It's just completely icing me out.
Yeah.
So I always thought ghosting, and so maybe I'm thinking of ghosting in the wrong way, because I always thought ghosting sort of, I understand how you're using it. My definition of ghosting I always thought it was like somebody that, you were texting with, or went on a few dates with, and then you didn't hear from them. I didn't think of it as that somebody that you could actually be in a relationship with. But if somebody quote unquote ghosts you and you're in a relationship with them and they come back a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever, I guess, is that still considered ghosting? I guess so. It's kind of a version.
I mean, that's, I think the abusive part is kind of they come back and they're all very sorry and, I'm going to change. But meanwhile, you've spent a week or days just feeling like shit and you don't matter. Maybe icing out, because ghosting, the way you described it, Sue, is exactly you could go out on a date with someone and be like,
right. And then you never hear from them again.
You never hear from them. That's the Irish goodbye.
So let me ask you something. So this person that used to ice you out, when they came back or tried to come back or tried to communicate, was it coming back and just pretending like nothing ever happened? Okay, I'm back and let's just move forward, and not really discuss how y'all got there?
Initially, yes. But this person would, to his credit, would talk and try to change. But I think that's the hook, man. And that's what happened to me just recently. The hook was, hey, but wait a minute, you did this like 3 weeks ago, and now you're just like, hey, what's up? Like, no,
Yeah.
now I'm gonna ghost you. Like
Yeah.
I don't go for that. Like, but anyway, go ahead, Deb.
I think there's a couple different scenarios here. Like we all have our way to get through a conflict and resolve a conflict that we're having with somebody that we're in a committed relationship with. Okay. That's different than maybe like a casual relationship where you've agreed
Right.
that like this is not going to be really more than just us seeing each other once in a while. Okay. When you're in a committed relationship and a long-term relationship, you're two people that are coming to the table with very different ways of resolving conflict. And there's usually the person who wants to just, there's the explosion, and then it's like, okay, let's just talk about this, put the pieces back together and move on, which that's me. Like I need some time, but I don't need a week. I need like a day or two to kind of like gather to get a perspective, because when I'm in an emotional state and I'm feeling a certain way, I am I'm not thinking clearly. I'm completely driven by what the amygdala in my brain is telling me is a threat. And then I'm reacting to it before my executive functioning part of the brain can actually think it through.
Yeah.
And so I need to learn to, when something comes at me, to not react right away. That's the whole pause, pray, proceed. Okay. That's where that comes in. There's also people who, again, because of the way they were raised, because of past situations in their lives, what they have to do is step away from the situation because their nervous system is going into overload because they are being screamed at by somebody, or like, they feel attacked, even though it's not meant to be an attack. So, and then their response is, and like you said, Kristen, like, I need space. I can't process all the information that's coming at me. So they're like, I got to step away from the situation. I need time to, really figure out the next steps here. And that's the space that you're asking for. I think when it becomes abusive is when, and it can feel very emotionally abusive, when somebody just shuts you out. And you're trying to keep the lines of communication open so that you can heal and fix this and move on and learn from it. But there's that one person who is now, you're like in no contact with them, and then it's like, it can be really painful. But if somebody says to you, this is the difference to me anyways, between somebody's that it's abusive, or somebody that is literally just trying to quiet down their nervous system. So they don't say, like Sue said, so they don't come out with words that they cannot take back. So the difference is, I need some space right now. I'm really upset. I need to think this through. I need to not speak to you because I don't want something to come out that's going to hurt you, and I won't be able to take those words back. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, hello, Emma. This is Emma. It's thundering out, so I think she's a little nervous. The difference is somebody who just, you get in a fight and then they leave, and then that's it. They don't talk to you. They don't answer your phone. They don't answer your text, and they haven't explained why. They're just like, I'm out. I'm not putting up with this shit. I'm out.
Yep.
And that to me is abusive, because they are not, they're putting 100% their selves first. They're not even taking into consideration the relationship or your feelings. And the longer they ice you out and ignore you, the worse it is for the relationship. And the worst thing they can do is come back and not expect to have a conversation about it, because they do leave you thinking like, what is going on? Like, is this over? Should I be moving on? Should, and meanwhile,
Exactly. I
they're
thought
just
that all
like,
the time. Like, is this
yeah,
over? Like, what just happened? And I'd start thinking, oh, I guess this is over. And then
yeah.
he'd come back and I'd be like, oh, and very nice and, very smart and very savvy with the words. But like, I agree 100%. I think as long as that person who needs the space
Says the words.
the
Right.
words, I need space, then that's not abusive. That's someone putting up their own boundary and saying, I'll get back to you. I promise. I just,
Yes.
not now. Like, but anyway, what do you
And
think?
I'm the type of person that like I need resolution. I can't
Mm.
move forward until we've resolved the issue. And I like to talk about everything. So I like to talk about what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, because when I get that out to a third party or to my partner or whatever, I need perspective in the situation. Because I know, and I've learned this a lot recently, that just because I'm not drinking or drugging doesn't mean that my mind is still working properly. I still have the brain of an addict, which we tend to live in our emotions rather than reality. And
Mhm.
so I need somebody that's looking at the whole picture and being like, okay, this is a hill to die on, or you got to stop with
Stop
your
texting.
craziness.
Sorry.
Put the phone down.
Put the
And
phone down,
and
Deb.
but I am open and willing to like ask somebody like, this is what happened. This is the reaction. What am I doing here? And be willing to hear from somebody that I trust say, stop,
Mm.
take a minute, and let's, look at the situation in a whole. A lot of people aren't like that. They want to just be right, and they're just going to stand on that. They're like, nope, I'm right. That was wrong. And that just ends up hurting the relationship, the friendship, the work relationship, whatever it is. Like we come into conflict every day, multiple times, with all sorts of things that are, even if it's in traffic, it's like, who knows, or at the grocery store, if somebody aggravates you, it's like we are constantly dealing with conflict that's coming our way, and we just have to figure out the best laid plan. But you don't hurt somebody intentionally.
Right.
I feel like with the person that you're talking about, he just didn't have the emotional intellect to understand that like what he was doing was wrong,
Was
and he
hurtful.
didn't really want to change. It's not okay to come around just when you're ready to. You
Right.
have to think there's another person in this equation
Right.
that is, feeling the
I
ripple
agree.
effect of your
Hmm.
pulling away and silent treatment.
That's why relationships are so hard. So,
Yeah, and it's and
what do
it's
you think
it's
so?
more like, so I actually dated a guy before I met my husband who was very just really twisted up, that he was divorced and didn't think it was like a religious kind of reaction to a divorce and things like that. And he, every time he felt like too comfortable with us, I wouldn't hear from him for weeks,
I remember that.
Oh,
weeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I would be like, and so my reaction to that is, fuck you. Like,
Yep.
I don't fucking need you, like, whatever. And I would either send one text like, are you okay? And I didn't hear from him. And I would be like, whatever, dude, like, get your fucking shit together.
Mm.
There was, and I
But
think,
wait, let me ask you, did that hurt you? Were you hurt? And
yes,
your hurt
you know
turned
what?
into
I
anger.
don't think it
Yeah.
hurt me. I think it confused me because I
Okay,
didn't
that's fair.
understand it.
Hmm.
I didn't understand. So like whenever I so I have run the gamut with reactions. And a lot of it comes from my triggers of not being heard or seen. That is a two huge triggers for me. So when I don't feel heard or seen, I yell louder, which is not effective. Do you know what I'm saying? So like we're having a discussion, you're not hearing what I'm trying to say. You're not seeing my point of view. You're not seeing me as part of this relationship. So I'm going to bring it up a couple of decibels and see if that works. I'm here to tell everybody it doesn't work.
My ex-husband used
It's
to
just
do that. Yeah.
the decibels are
Loud.
actually gas on the fire. But that like is literally me saying, okay, well, you know what, you're gonna hear me and you're gonna see me. And if like we're sitting side by side, I will physically move myself so you have to be looking at me. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's been bad. So when and here's the other thing. When I have cut communication off in a negative way. So I'm going to take my ex-mother-in-law for an example. I was done arguing. Like I got to the point where I was like, I am no longer trying to get you to see my point of view. So basically you're dead to me. Like you and I can be in the same room and I will not even acknowledge that you are alive, let alone standing there.
Wow.
So it's not, but so I had never experienced the cutoff when things were going well. Like this would be a cutoff where it wasn't an argument.
Yeah.
He got into his head like, oh my God, I can't have a relationship because two of my kids are not speaking to me, and I'm divorced and I'm Catholic and all this other bullshit.
Yes, it was his stuff.
And so he would cut off almost an attempt to like punish himself for being happy or experiencing life or whatever, or guilty. And so I had never experienced that type of ghosting when an argument didn't ensue first as a precursor to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
I was
That's very interesting. Yeah, because normally that doesn't
I was
happen.
kind of confused. I wasn't really hurt. I was confused. And then I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Right.
So anyway,
it start happening again.
Yeah. And
pattern.
You know, and so he would come back. So there was really no argument to resolve, but he would come back and explain, listen, it's not you, blah, 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 the whole thing. And then after about a year, he did it again. Like he'd done it a couple of times. And then this time it just lasted longer. And at that point, when I realized that he wasn't going to answer me, all the things, I just said to him, we're good. Like I'm putting a fork in this. We're done. And a few months later, so then I like wipe his phone number out of my phone and all the things. And I get this text message from him in the middle of a Patriots game.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the number going, this kind of looks familiar, but I don't know who this is. And he said something about Tom Brady. And I was like, and then I knew who it was. And my answer back to him was, lose my fucking number.
Yeah.
And he didn't really know what to do because each time he had done that, I would be like, okay, like I understand, it's okay. And, so for me to experience that, it wasn't like conflict resolution. However, again, I think I started out really just in my conflict communication style. I can say to, about my ex-husband is, again, I wanted to be seen and heard, but I also was sort of sending these signals that I wanted to be right. So I would just yell.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, a few days of, it wasn't even like uncomfortable silence. It was just uncomfortable, like we're just going to go about our day and only exchange things that we have to exchange.
Mm.
Mm.
And that's another good thing to talk about. Like, do you want to be right or do you want to be at peace?
Correct.
And when do
And
you,
my younger self wanted to be right
yeah.
because I wanted to be heard and seen, but I didn't know that at the time. Then through a lot of the work I've done, I've realized that those are my triggers. And so now what I will do is either say, I don't have the capacity right now to talk about this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
If
what you're
I am
supposed to do.
pushed by my partner who wants to talk about it right then, things don't go well
Right.
Yeah.
because then I get
Same. I want to
nasty.
talk about it. I want to talk about it. And my partner's like, I need a minute. And
Right.
It
Or
never goes well.
he'll say, I don't give a shit. I want to talk about it now, which to me feels like I'm being pushed into a corner, and
yeah,
It's the
God
same
help
you're
you
getting
because
come
I
out
problem.
will come out
swinging.
swinging.
It's the
Yeah,
Yeah.
opposite, but it's the same problem. It's like
kind of.
they want to talk, you don't.
Right.
Well, you gotta
But now we've both worked on
compromise.
it, and actually what we've come up with is sort of like a phrase.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily a safe word but a phrase like he'll say to me, I don't want to talk about this right now. I will say to him, I don't have the capacity to talk. Like I need to gather my thoughts, or I'm too tired to talk about this, or something like that. And it's better. But in the beginning, his go-to was anger. My go-to was sleeping upstairs for a week and not, and treating him like I used to treat my ex-mother-in-law, which was, you may be here, but I do not see you. I don't give a shit that you're here. I won't even touch you. I will not. I mean, I will bump into you in the hallway and not say anything.
I
So I
can't
am
I'm gonna
growing a
ghost
little
you in
bit.
the hallway.
imagine doing that.
I
Oh, that would
know.
make
Okay.
me so uncomfortable.
So I have this funny story to tell you guys. Like you made me think about my ex-husband and I got together very young, and we had hormones raging, and we fought. People sometimes didn't want to be around us because we fought. We fought hard.
And you must have made up really hard.
We did. Yeah, we did. That was our problem. A lot of our
Yeah.
problem. We would be in the middle of a fight, and he'd be like, "You want to go?" And that would help me calm down. I could do
Right.
that, but anyway, only with him. But because we just had like this very volatile relationship. But I remember this one time we were in an apartment in Ellington. We were 20. He was going to UConn. I was working in East Granby, and I came home high or with marijuana, and he hated marijuana. And so we get into this huge fight, and we're in the kitchen. And Ken is an avid reader, and so this is 1990, and we had like books all over in like this adjacent room to the kitchen. We're fighting in the kitchen, and he had this gallon of milk, and he took it out. He was going to have cereal or a glass of milk or something, and we're yelling at each other. He takes the gallon of milk and he goes, psh, and it went like, so to this day, we will have conversations. Even my children will be like, oh, here's a book with the milk fight in it. There's milk remnants all around. One time we were having.
Yeah, I mean, I have thrown things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was not good. It was
That
not
was the
good.
younger me.
Yeah,
I remember
same.
sitting in my car once in the passenger side. We were in the middle of a fight. He gets out of the car. He comes out, kicks in the windshield right in front of my face. I mean, it didn't shatter. It just was. So I went to my next relationship with this volatile, come to the ring fighting. And I remember him saying to me, Kristen, why do you go to like right way up here immediately? And he was right about that. But then the opposite problem occurred with him. And I will say, kind of in the vein of what Sue was talking about, it wasn't that nothing happened and he would disappear. It was sometimes conflict between the two of us, but it was more. I remember the biggest one was my daughter got into an accident and she had gotten her first DUI. and it was a big deal. And she had broken her back. Like, it was a serious accident. She could have paralyzed herself. She could have killed somebody else. It was, and this was all going around me. My mother had just started to take ill. There's a bunch of stuff going on. And I would talk to him about these things, and I'd get kind of animated, and he would just ostrich in the sand, and I wouldn't hear from him. I had to, like, that was his MO of just kind of like, I can't deal with this. I'm going to walk away. So it wasn't like nothing had happened, but sometimes it wasn't a conflict between the two of us. It was in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Right,
wanted
exactly.
a person
Something
to
happened,
support
yeah.
me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that you say that, because like I don't think of myself as fighting differently from my younger self. I think of myself resolving conflict as somebody now who has worked on in myself and realized my triggers and really, and this is something that Deb and I have talked about a lot, is when I reacted like that, what started the conflict never got resolved because the discussion was centered around the reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
so like I got, it like the whole reason why we were in conflict got completely ignored and shoved to the side, and we would attack each other about what we said to each other in the heat of the argument.
Right.
And then, as we all know, if you don't resolve the conflict, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months later, it bubbles up again.
It
It's
comes
not
up
going to
again.
stay underneath the carpet forever. And then it would be the same thing. And so you're attacking, or you're pointing fingers at the other person. Well, why did you say that? Like, what would make you say that to me? Do you know what I mean? The name calling or the
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, and nothing ever got resolved.
From
And
the
so what I
reason why you're
realized was,
reacting. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And I would react from a point of my triggers being my things being triggered,
Yes.
Yeah.
instead
Old
of
wounds.
saying, so I think, and the other thing is my younger self, I don't think even knew that I had triggers. So like my evolved self, the myself that I worked on, realized that I did have triggers, and this was the trajectory, how I got here because of these triggers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And listen,
And
I also want to say that it's not perfect. I still yell. I still sometimes stomp my feet. I still walk away at times without uttering the words, I can't talk about this right now. But it's it's much better. It's much better. And I haven't done the silent treatment thing in a very long time.
It's so interesting when you think about it. Like, everybody says, like, marriage is hard, relationships are hard. They definitely are. And it's because you have two people coming into this relationship who both have trauma. And when I say trauma, I'm not talking about like, it could be hardcore trauma, like terrible, terrible things that have happened, but it also could be just like growing up with somebody in a family where one of the parents didn't meet your emotional needs and you thought they were being met, but they weren't. And you didn't realize it until later on when a conversation or a fight ensues, and all of a sudden you're feeling that certain way that you felt as a little kid. And or whatever, like there's so many different variables that happen in our lives and that we bring into our relationships. And then here you are in this relationship with somebody that you care deeply about, but you're going to fight about certain things.
Right.
I mean, there's just certain days when you're not feeling yourself, feeling good, feeling like yourself, and then something comes at you and you react to it. And that reaction,
I would feel really bad. Like you say, Deb, all the time, words that you can't take back.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to spew words that I can't take back. And I have done that a lot. And it makes me feel so bad because I know that the words land and they don't go away.
They don't.
They don't go away.
Yeah. They don't.
Even as much as you together decide that we're not going to pull that into any type of conversation or future argument, it's still,
Yeah.
it lands.
It goes back to what you were talking about, Sue, with you, is you get louder, you get more explicit, with the name calling, because you don't feel seen or heard. And I think,
Correct.
Deb, like, if you're not feeling seen or heard, like, that is, it's important. People they want to feel like they're seen, heard, and understood, I guess. But sometimes we all have to take a pause before we can. And trust me, there are times I had arguments with my ex-husband. I did not see his side of the story, and he didn't see my side, but somehow
But
we just let it go.
there's the other thing. You're not always going to come to a middle ground that is satisfactory for both sides.
Right. You rarely ever
You
are,
know?
I think. I think somebody
You
has to
know, I mean,
compromise. Yeah.
right. But sometimes I absolutely despise this saying you have to agree to disagree, but I despise it. However, there are often times, especially when you come together later. Everybody's, the two parties are either divorced or more than one time, or have children don't necessarily welcome you, or have
an ex-wife that's nasty or whatever. There's a million
or an
different things.
ex-husband
Yeah.
that's nasty, or in-laws that aren't on board with your divorce, so they're not going to be on board with the person that you're bringing, to a family event or whatever. And, it's just, it's almost like one of those things that, we've talked about so many times, and all of us try to live our lives like this is, we don't have any control over somebody else's reaction, right? And so, I mean, we don't have control over somebody else's opinion either. They are allowed to see the situation differently than us.
Yeah, and it's so true. We say this a lot in AA, like the only thing you have control over is your reaction to somebody's action. And
Right.
sometimes your reaction is not good. And that's the fact, and I mean, I can speak for myself. Sometimes my reaction is not good.
Yes.
And that is a clear indication of my spiritual health, my spiritual well-being, because, and I'm just gonna, like, so Kevin and I have a very different lifestyle. Like, I am a sober woman of 20 something years in recovery, constantly trying to, better myself. He is constantly working on himself, but he also, like, he drinks and he parties and he has we have a lot of differences that we come to the table with, but we learn to work it out, okay, and find a good balance. But there are times when, if I'm not taking care of my mental health or my spiritual health, I am not going to be able to accept certain things. And I'm going to see things much differently than I would see them if I was in a healthy state of mind.
Amen.
And that's my responsibility, to make sure that I am taking care of my mental health and my spiritual health.
Yeah, just like this guy that used to ghost me, or I used to call it disappearing, I think, because ghosting the word wasn't invented yet. Is oftentimes my reaction has everything to do with what is going on with me.
Yes.
At the time that the information is laid out, delivered, or presented, right? And I agree with you. So, it's interesting, because what I have learned in my work with myself is, number one, apologizing doesn't tell the other person that they were right. You know what I'm saying? So we talk about cleaning up our sides of the street. So I will apologize for my behavior and the way I delivered the message, but the message still stands.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will say the message got lost in how I chose to deliver it.
That's great.
That's good. That's really good.
You
But that
know,
other, your partner has to be in a place where it will land well with them and they can
Correct.
hear it. Because if they're
Correct.
not, if their nervous system hasn't regulated, nothing that you say is going to make
Right.
any difference. And you're just going to ping pong back and forth, back and
Right.
forth.
You
So,
just don't trust what's coming out of the other person's mouth.
right. So
It's
it
too
has to
soon.
be, you have to take into, you have to be respectful of the way that they deal and heal from conflict. And, I've never been one, I don't think anyways, I, I don't think I've ever been a person that when I'm mad or upset will like spew hateful or mean things. But what I have learned is saying what I'm feeling it can be the intake from the other person. They can hear it a different way than what I'm saying, and it can be hurtful. And I have to be careful of that too,
It's why texting is so
yeah.
it's really, I cannot resolve a conflict via the text because you cannot get the inflection. It's so important, I think, at least for me, to have a conversation with when we are having a conflict to talk about it because like
Yeah,
you
I
said,
think the tone of a text message is always lost.
you never know
Or it's
because you
always,
could be
or it's escalated to a place that it wasn't meant to be.
Well, and
exactly.
it's also with the whatever mood that person is that's reading it, they're going to
Who's
interpret
reading
it
it,
to
not
that.
sending it. Agreed. Yes.
Reading it, the person that's
Agreed.
reading it, if wherever they are in their head is how they're going to read that. And it could be completely different than what the sender intended, but because they're still angry, they're
Right.
reading it with this, voice that it wasn't intended
Yeah.
sentence.
So
So
that
Yeah,
was the thing that
it's
I just
interesting. And it's also like forgiveness, so I only spew like when I feel again, if I am pushed and pushed and pushed and the other person is not is going low, like really hurtful and low, I will at some point I will snap
yeah,
and
and
do the
go,
same exact thing.
amen. Yeah,
I used to. I don't do it anymore. Now I'm just like, you know what, you can say whatever the hell you
walk
want. Like
away.
I walk away. But the same thing with the apology is the forgiveness part of it is, forgiveness is the gift you give to yourself. And what I clouded up for so many years, and I still have a hard time with it, is forgiveness is not telling the
allowing.
person that what they did, they're not, it's like I used to say, if I forgive that person, I am saying to them their behavior was okay with me and they were right.
Mm.
And that's not the case.
No.
So that's where I am now in my work with myself because I can forgive, right? But not
Invite them back to your table.
Yeah.
invite them back to my table.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just thought the act of forgiving meant I am saying to you that it was okay that you said that to me. It was okay that you treated me like that. It was okay. Like you weren't wrong. I forgive you. And in actuality, I am forgiving so I can move on from the situation, right? But the access you have to me is no longer at the same level.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I feel like for me, I would break a little bit more each time. And I can remember saying to this individual who used to ice me out, if you do it again, I'm not coming back. Like if you ice me out one more time, and I was iced out and I didn't go back. I was like, you know what? I'm not and I would get those Patriots messages and I was like, yeah, I'm fucking blocking this. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
like I will forgive you, you know, just like I would hope to be forgiven for my discretions as well. And Debbie hit the nail on the head with the meetings. Like I can remember being my ex-husband would say to me, and people, sometimes I'd get upset about at this, but not in general. He'd go, I think maybe eating.
Yeah.
Like, because, and he was right, because just like you said,
Right.
Deb, I am,
There's something off in you.
I'm
You
a,
needed,
yeah, I have a mind problem. Like Debbie went to a meeting the other day and she said, a woman said, I don't come here because I have to, I feel like I want to drink or use drugs. I come here because I have a head problem and I
A
need
thinking, it's not a drinking
thinking
problem, it's a
problem. It's a
thinking
thinking
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it could not be, that statement
Yeah.
is so true. And if I don't go take my medicine from a meeting, then I'm no good to someone
Right.
who's in my life when there's a conflict that comes up. I'm gonna come with my boxing gloves or um, you know, ghost myself, leave.
And I
I
also think that doing that, having that kind of tactical conflict resolution of ghosting or yelling or going low or name calling is, really to take the ownership off the other person. Or like they don't have the ability to look in the mirror and see their part in this. They just want to play the blame game. So the finger is pointing outward instead of inward. And then they can, and then it's provoke, provoke, provoke. So then they can say to you, well, look how you react. I mean, did you really have to react like that? And then it, takes the onus off, what is actually going on. And I've been able to, so like this guy that ghosted, I've been able to say, and you too, Kristen, that was a him problem. And like it was, and he didn't know he was in a bad place himself. Like, so he had no business being in a relationship. You know what I mean? And I know for sure my reaction to anything is a clear indication of where I am in my own journey.
For sure. My therapist just yesterday said, if you're not in a good spiritual place, you're living in conspiracy theories in your head.
Yeah.
It's all
True.
like you're not going to see the reality of a situation. It's going to be all about what you're making it to be. And
interesting.
It's and yeah, you get into this conspiracy theory brain. And that's why, she said to me, when something comes at you, you need to pause. You need to let your nervous system catch up with what's happening, calm down, and let the executive functioning part of your brain kick in and really analyze what is being presented to you. Because if you react when your nervous system, like for me, like if I'm triggered, emotionally triggered, and it's a painful, I am going to come out swinging because I don't want to feel that pain. And but really, was that a threat to me emotionally, or
it was a perceived threat?
Was
it based on where you were emotionally or mentally?
Exactly.
It was perceived.
Exactly. And I
because
gotta
the person's, the person that you're with is not going to do that on purpose.
Right. We're here to report that you're okay.
Yeah, no. And it was the other thing I noticed too, and Kevin will also say to me, like, all right, don't you need to go to a meeting? And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm gonna drink or take any pills or anything. Like, no, I'm fine. But it is about
it's the message that you receive and the mental health reset that you receive in those meetings.
And exactly. And it's such a gift that I can go to an AA or NA meeting and the fellowship and be around people who, remind me that I have a diseased brain. And if I'm not doing the work on myself that I need to be doing, then those conspiracy theories will take over. And then, nobody wants to live like that. Constantly
and you're
being
also
in
going
fight,
back to
flight,
your
or freeze
community.
mode.
It's like, right. You're also checking in with your community.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I was going to yoga on, every Saturday religiously, and then every once in a while I would throw one in, and now I throw one in on Wednesdays. And my Sean said to me, "Oh, why are you going on Wednesdays now?" I said, because I need a midweek reset.
Yeah.
And that's what it
So,
is. I just need like waiting 7 days for that reset is too long right
that's
now,
fine.
based on how I'm feeling. So I need that midweek reset. But it's the same thing as you guys going to a meeting. It's like you
Mhm.
reset, you you commune with like people, you
Mhm.
absorb that positive energy, you know that it's one of those reminders that you're on the right path. And you also know, and there's also the people that give you permission to like accidentally take a few steps backwards.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like they remind you that you're human.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This has
Well,
been
this has
great,
been
girl.
great. Thank you guys
Mhm.
for
I'm gonna go into the weekend all zenned
you
out.
zen out. You're gonna have no conflicts with
No
No
having a
conflict.
dog.
conflicts. I don't have any triggers.
Nothing. I have to tell you this one funny story before we wrap up. So I was sitting with this woman at the picnic, and she recently, well, within the last year, she's gotten divorced. She father of her children, 25 years, 25 years married. And she whatever, she's cute, she's adorable, she's seeing a couple guys, she's a little bit younger than me. And she said to me,
Oh, dear Lord, I can't even handle one. A
I
oh,
couple.
know a couple guys. Oh,
she's adorable, but there's one fella that she travels with occasionally, and he was going to come over this weekend. He's available, and she leans over to me and she goes, I go, what's going on? What are you doing this weekend? She goes, well, so and so, he was talking about getting. I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have him come over, but then she said, I don't want him in my house. Like she just said, I don't want him in my house. And I'm like, she's never lived alone. That's what she said to me. She goes, I've never lived alone, and I'm alone now. And my ex-husband takes the children. They're like late teens, whatever. But I said, it's peaceful and comfortable when you're living on your own. And nothing, I said the famous statement, nothing brings out my character defects more than being in a relationship.
relationship
Like,
for sure. Yeah.
so, and I also said, well, you can keep him as a side piece, but he's probably not the guy for you if you already
Yeah.
don't want him in your house. I mean, I kind of get it. You don't want him there for the whole weekend, but whatever. I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah, that is funny.
Anyway, I'm so glad that we talked about this. I feel like
Yeah.
I hope our audience got something out of it, and maybe they didn't know some of the things I didn't know before my friend told me, about conflict resolution or whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. That's good.
thank you,
I
ladies.
hope people respond and tell us their stories.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Folks, please direct message or private message us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. You can also comment on, I definitely know you can comment on YouTube. I don't know if you can comment on the other places that you find us, which are Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. You can also email us at rewindandreflectwithus@gmail.com.
Mhm.
And Deb, your book, where can they find your book?
We're okay. So One Little Pill, you can find on Amazon or just click on my website. There's a link to Amazon on there, deblawlessmiller.com. I have booked 2 speaking engagements for the summer so far, and a bunch of emails are going out right now to some recovery centers. So more to come on that, but
Nice.
baby
Nice.
steps.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank
Queen.
you.
That's great. And if you guys
Mhm.
enjoy the podcast, share it with a friend, tag somebody, share the show. We'd love to get some more listeners. Good
Yes.
to see you,
Yes.
girls.
You too.
Yep.
Namaste, everybody.
Bye.
Peace and
Bye.
love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.